Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. But today we're doing a deep dive and a recap into House of Anubis. Now, I should preface, you probably don't know what I'm talking about if you weren't watching Nickelodeon from I think 2010 to 2013-ish when the show ran. Now, it's based off of a show that happened and was made in another country, and they made it for American, British. They're British in the show, some of them. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you never watched this as a show as a kid. Now, I and most of my friends watched House of Anubis because this show was the shit. It had me sat every week that it was airing. I loved season 1 and season 2. Season 3 is debatable. But, you know, we're not talking about any of those seasons. We're talking about season 1. Okay? I am going to be doing a deep dive and a recap of what happened in this show, because I think this show had one of the best plots in Nickelodeon history. Now, let me discuss why I think that is. Now, a lot of Nickelodeon shows had not really an extending plot. You know what I mean? It's not like the typical shows you see today, obviously, because it was a kid show and you had to keep your audience entertained every week. So their episodes were just kind of like news stories, and there wasn't actually a big long plot. House of Anubis, however, was not like that. There was something new every week, okay? It was the story spanned for the entire season of whatever they were searching for in this house. There's obviously, they had to keep the kids entertained, so obviously there's side romance, and then there's the mysteries. Now the mysteries, that's where the show gets good. And I'm going to be telling you every little thing that happened in here, and I have all the characters laid out and everything. I am also going to be filming this within 2 separate days because I'm splitting season 1 into 2 sides. So I did the first 13 episodes and I'm doing the last 14 episodes. I've watched House of Anubis. I know what happens, but there's just a lot, and there's a lot that goes on in every 20-minute episode. My notes are so long because obviously I gotta recap. I gotta tell you everything that was happening while these kids were running around this house and this campus. I'm going to discuss each character as I go and where I see fit and where it makes sense. House of Anubis starts off with Nina, our main character. Basically our main character. She's the main bitch. I love Nina, okay? I love Nina. You know, that, what's that one viral video where that girl's like, Nina? Nina?
Nina.
I feel like it's the three of us.
Nina.
Yeah.
Nina.
She lived in America and she's arriving to House of Anubis, this school, on a scholarship because she's gonna go there and she's gonna go learn. But little does she know, she's gonna get wrapped up into a little mystery. She loves to say that she's an American, by the way. She absolutely adores it, eats it up, okay? I love that about her, honestly. She's in this British world, and she's just like, I'm an American. I love that about her. And she said, I feel like I'm in Harry Potter, which, I mean, if I was an American, I'd say that too, and she's going to this big old house. She lived with her gran, and now she's going to House of Anubis all alone. She's by herself. As Nina arrives to school, she bumps into some very important characters. Joy, Fabian, and Patricia. I love Patricia because we both have the same name, okay? Me and Patricia, we're besties. So Nina bumps into them, which is pretty slay. She doesn't really say anything to them, but she just kind of runs off. And as Nina approaches House of Anubis, she goes to open up the door, and the door magically opens for her. That's a little spooky, that's a little suspicious already. Then we cut to the school. We see Jerome. Jerome is a little sneaky snake. He loves to be in the plot, and he loves to pull pranks, and he's honestly really just like a bother. And he's kind of like the playboy of House of Anubis. Okay? Anyways, so he's there in school, and he's got this little scheme going on with homework. He gives people his homework. People give him money. Okay? He needs his money. He needs his cash. I get the hustle. Okay? I get it. I understand. Keep that in mind about his homework scheme, because that's going to be important for later on when I talk about another plot. And we cut back to Nina. Nina she's in the school, okay? She meets Victor. Victor is basically the housekeeper. He basically is like the principal of the house, and he's a little weird. And she also meets Trudy, okay? Trudy is basically like, she cooks for everybody in the house who live there, and she keeps care of the house. She's basically just like the housekeeper, but he's like the house ruler. We love Trudy. We don't like Victor, but we love Trudy. So this is where the show starts off with having like the side plots, the side romance. We meet Amber. Amber is your typical dumb blonde, not very smart. And we also meet Mick. Okay? Amber and Mick are together at this point in the first episode. Mick is also your stereotypical athletic guy, doesn't really have any brains. So basically, in hindsight, they're perfect for each other, and they're like boos. Amber calls him Boo. Kind of cute, kind of slayed, honestly. As Nina's searching around the house, she finds a painting of the OG owners. I think Trudy's the one that tells her about the Frobisher Smythes, the OG owners of the house. I don't have them on here, but just know that the Frobisher Smythes are the OG owners of this house, and they died in a tragic accident. We don't know what that tragic accident is at this point. We'll get to it. Mr. Sweet shows up in class and is like, Joy, you need to come with me. Okay? Keep that in mind. She leaves class, and everybody's like, Joy, where are you going? Why does Mr. Sweet want you? Hi, this is Editing Patty. When I say she left, like she was literally pulled out of the school and like is not going to be attending there anymore. And that's why when I'm getting ready to say Nina's going to take her place, that's what I mean. Like she literally left the school. Like she's not returning because her parents pulled her out. Thought I should add that in because I didn't say that. I don't know why. Anyways. Since Joy has left, Nina is taking her place. Really weird timing, isn't it? Really weird timing that Joy has left, all of her belongings are gone, and Nina takes her place. It's weird. And then, as they get back from class, Patricia, who was Joy's roommate, is like, what happened to Joy? Where's Joy? What'd you do with Joy? Starts attacking Nina basically, and it's like, what'd you do, Joy? What'd you do, basically? And Nina's literally like, I just got here. I didn't do anything. And automatically, Patricia does not like Nina. Thinks she did something with Joy because Joy's gone. She's like, Joy left her phone. Joy would never leave her phone. It's this little flip phone that says Joy on it with like the little foam stickers. So Joy is obviously gone. She's left campus. She's left her phone. It's really shady. It's now Nina is Patricia's roommate, and Patricia doesn't like Nina because she thinks Nina did something with Joy. That's where we're at. Patricia, all freaking out about Joy, is like, she left her phone, Victor, and Victor's suspiciously like, we'll get it back to her, basically. And he's not really thinking it's weird, but Patricia thinks it's weird. Obviously it is weird. She left her phone. So Victor breaks Joy's phone and starts burning stuff. Really sus. Now it's dinner time, okay? They all eat dinner together. Trudy cooks, okay? But Victor doesn't eat with them. Jerome and Alfie, okay? We haven't really met Alfie yet. Alfie and Jerome are thick as thieves. They're a little pair. They love to start shit together, okay? So while they're eating dinner, Jerome and Alfie start a little food fight, okay? They start throwing it on everybody at the dinner table, okay? Then Patricia goes a little far, takes the water pitcher and dumps it on Nina. After Patricia dumps the water on Nina, Nina gets a call from her gran asking her how school is. How is she doing? Nina starts crying, obviously upset. She hasn't really made any friends. They're all being mean to her. Patricia thinks Nina did something with Joy, so she's obviously upset, so she starts crying. But she tells her gran everything is fine and lies to her. Then Fabian walks in and is like, you okay? She's like, just peachy, whatever. After dinner, Amber and Mara room together, okay? As they're getting ready for bed, Mick comes into Amber and Mara's room and asks Mara for some help on biology. Because Mara's really, really smart. She's got the brains, okay? So Mick is struggling. He needs Mara's help. Amber is not really happy with this whole Mick helping Mara thing. As they're getting ready for bed, we cut to Patricia. Patricia's getting ready to, she's like brushing her teeth, and she sees on the steamed up mirror, "Help me, Joy." Patricia, obviously freaked out by this whole "help me, Joy" thing, goes and gets Amber and Mara. She's like, "Look at what I just found on the steamed mirror." But while she's going to grab them, Nina gets into the bathroom and wipes off the mirror. So the writing is gone by the time Patricia walks in. Makes Patricia look like she's lying, fibbing, and going crazy about this whole missing Joy situation. Now this is when the plot thickens. Nina, on her way to class the next day, bumps into an elderly woman from the old person's home that's really close to House of Anubis. Is like, "Are you okay?" to this older woman. She's like, "That's my house, okay? This is the older woman, Sarah, okay?" And then she looks at Nina and goes, "It's you, isn't it? I knew you'd come." And she says her name is Sarah. So it's really sus how she's like, "It's you, I knew you'd come," and is like saying that that's her house. Sarah, what do you mean, girl? Obviously, Nina's trying to help this old lady, Sarah. She's like, "Do you want to come inside?" And Sarah is not about going into House of Anubis. And she's like, "I can't go in there. He's watching and like waiting." "Sarah, what do you mean by who? Who's watching and waiting?" He? So it's already really sus that she's like, "That was my house. He's watching and waiting. It's you, isn't it?" So it's really sus with this old lady named Sarah. Nina thinks she's just a little crazy because she's obviously older. Nina helps escort Sarah back to the old person's home. The person who takes care of Sarah is like, "No, her name is Emily. Sarah's not her real name." So Nina's already like, interesting. Then we cut to Patricia talking to Mr. Sweet. Mr. Sweet is basically like the head of the school. He's like the administrator type thing of the school, and is like, "What happened to Joy?" He basically just says what Victor said. Like, "We'll get it to her. She's fine. Her parents came and got her." Like, she was removed from the school. Patricia's not about this. She's like, she left her phone. Okay? And then as Patricia leaves Mr. Sweet's room, she sees their class photo. And she's looking at the class photo, and she sees that Joy has been erased from the photo because Joy was standing right next to Patricia in the class photo. So Patricia's like, "Something is so fishy here. She was standing by me." And then Mara's basically like, "Are you sure? Are you sure that Joy was standing next to you? It's been like a year." Now we cut back to Nina, who's with Sarah/Emily, okay? This is where big T happens, okay? There's a reason why I have this little picture of a locket. I don't know if you can really see it, but I will put it up on the screen if you cannot. She hands it to Nina, okay? She gives Nina this locket that looks like an eye. And she says, and I quote, "It will keep you safe. There is treasure in that house." Treasure, you say? Treasure? That locket is gonna help her find the treasure? And then, as she hands Nina the locket, she's like, "Only Nina has the power." And she says, Sarah says the house is evil. I mean, honestly, my girl Sarah, Emily, is spitting straight facts. I would be scared of that place too, honestly. And Sarah calls Nina Nina. Nina has not shared her name to Sarah at all. So Nina's like, "How the fuck do you know my name?" And then she tells her, "Beware the black bird." Now, I haven't mentioned this before, but there's a little bird up here who's black. His name's Corbier. He's Victor's stuffed bird, his raven. Beware the black bird, says Sarah. We know someone who has a black bird. Victor is sus. He's on the suspect list. And then later that night, Nina has a nightmare about what Sarah said about the whole black bird thing, and then Patricia basically is like fucking with her and like sprinkles like these black feathers from like her little feather thing. Anyways, at breakfast next morning, they're trying to get to know Nina. Amber's like, what happened to your parents since you live with your gran? And Nina says that they died in a car accident. Patricia basically gets really mean. And then Fabian is like, Patricia, you're being really mean. We love Fabian, we do. He's sweet boy, he's nerdy boy. We'll get to him. We love Fabian though, okay? We love him. And he's standing up for Nina against Patricia. Patricia, Jerome, and Alfie all team up against Nina, and they're like, we should play this prank about this initiation that we do. But it's clearly this prank that they're gonna play on Nina. Meanwhile, this is where we're not like getting the plot of like the whole mystery thing. Amber is jealous of Mara because Mara is helping Mick with the homework, obviously. Whatever. This is like, this is the part where I hate in the show, is because obviously I'm here for the mystery. I'm here for the God honest mystery. And there's like this whole side plot with like a romance, okay? Mick gives Amber this bracelet, okay? Keep this in mind for this side plot of this romance type thing, okay? He gives Amber this bracelet that's like colorful. I think I forgot to mention, okay, so obviously Mick gives Amber this bracelet, okay? He also gives Mara the same exact bracelet. This is big T, guys, okay? This is like middle school type shit. He's a little playboy, okay? He gave Mara and Amber the same bracelets, okay? And they're like roomies, so that's like not good. And he basically begs Mara to keep helping him, even though Amber's obviously really jealous and fucking upset about it that he keeps spending all this time with Mara. I would be too, honestly. Fuck Mick. Fuck Mick, okay? We don't like Mick. Okay, the initiation that I was talking about previously is where she has to go upstairs to the attic. But Nina has to steal the key. Who keeps all the keys? Victor. Victor keeps all those keys, so she's got to go into his office and steal the key. So Nina goes up into his office, steals the key. It's like this whole little like thing, this little key heist. So she steals the key.
Hi, it's me again. It's editing Patty. I don't know why, but my camera just like stopped, so I never got to finish like what I was saying. Anyways, Nina manages to get the attic key from Victor's office. Even though Victor, like, low-key catches her, but she's like, I was just looking at Corbière, his raven, okay? I don't know why that cut out, but anyways. Yeah. Enjoy.
Amber sees Mara's bracelet. They have the same exact bracelet, so Amber's fucking pissed. Then we cut to Nina. Fabian peeks at Nina's locket and is like, what is that? That's super pretty. Nina gets defensive and gets really pissy about it. She's like, this is really important. It's none of your business. Fabian's like, fuck, I was just making conversation. And we cut to Mr. Sweet and Miss Andrews. They're obviously the teachers. And they're talking about Joy and the tampered photo. Okay, they definitely tampered with the photo and they were just being really sus about it. All of the students are in drama class and they're doing Romeo and Juliet. Amber's like, this is the perfect time to get back at Mick. Amber goes off script and kisses Alfie. Mick is pissed. Mick leaves. Okay, this is not really that important, but I have to say it for the sake of this whole romance plot so you know what's going on, at least with Mick. Because Mick literally does not do anything besides be the side plot for this romance. Now it's the end of the episode. It's initiation time. Nina goes up into the attic. Patricia keeps the key. And then, obviously it's really creepy. And Patricia locks Nina into the attic, locks her in. Fabian and Amber and Mara are like, this is fucked up. This is so fucked. Open the door. Patricia's slamming Nina with questions about what she did with her. Alfie and Jerome are low-key eating this up, okay? Nina is obviously scared. She wants to She wants the door to be opened. Victor catches them, okay? And Patricia comes up with a lie. They leave Nina in the attic. And then Victor goes to inspect who's in the attic while Nina's inside, so Nina's got to go hide. Okay? That's the end of episode 1. This is the entire first episode. It's going to go a lot quicker than this. So this is huge, okay? We obviously know, I cannot believe this has all happened in the first episode, but it really did. So we know Joy has disappeared. Supposedly, her parents withdrew her from school. Obviously, the teachers are in on it. Trudy's sweet as hell. Nina now has the locket. Sarah/Emily, do we know her name right now? No. But she gave Nina the locket, and we know we have to be sus of Victor. Episode 2 starts off with Nina being in the attic, and she finds a hiding spot, and this door shifts open. It's like this hidden door, and she ends up being able to hide in it because it's like this solid door. So when Victor's up there, he's like, oh, it's just mice. That's all it is. Like Patricia said. Funny how that lie worked out. Then, once Victor sees that it's nothing, he walks down. He's done. He's done his little inspection into the attic. Amber and Fabian decide to go up and try and get Nina out of there. And they try to get the key from Patricia, but Patricia says that she threw it out the window into the bushes. She threw the attic key into the bushes. What were you thinking? So now Nina's locked up in there. She's locked in that attic. Fabian and Amber are rightfully pissed at Patricia for doing this. And we cut back to Nina up in the attic. She finds this little slot inside where she's hiding that looks exactly like her locket. Okay, sus. She does that and it glows and the door shifts back open and she's back into the attic. She's like, there's a secret compartment into this attic. And then she's like, well, how the hell did I get inside there in the first place? She takes her locket, she holds it to the keyhole, and then she's magically swooped in. So now she knows something's fishy with her little locket. And she saw a shape of a person, basically. Nina uses a lockpick and gets out of the attic and scares Fabian and Amber. And they're like, that is so slay of you, you're so brave. It's the next morning. Fabian asks Nina if she would want to walk with him. She says yes. Fabian starts digging in the bushes, finds the attic key. Nina takes the attic key because she's like, I'm going back in that attic. She wants to figure this out. And then she tells Fabian that she saw this person. This person. Who would be up there in the attic? Joy? We'll figure it out. Anyways. It's literally so stupid, but we'll get there. Anyways, and then Patricia pries open Joy's locker thinking that something's going to be in there. Mr. Sweet catches her and gets detention. Okay. Basically tells Fabian everything about this whole locket and this whole door situation, and then he's like, I'm definitely going up there with you. You're not going alone. And then as Patricia's crying about Joy in the bathroom, she manages to get a tile off of the bathroom wall, and it somehow magically is a peephole into Mr. Sweet's office where him and Mrs. Andrews are talking about Joy's disappearance and talking about Joy. Okay, now we're back into the romance side plot. I'm so sorry that I have to cover this, but whatever. Alfie, low-key, has this thing for Amber. Alfie is like, I wanna go on this date with her. I wanna see if she can go on this date with me. So he suspiciously lays out this whole candy thing and is like, blah blah blah, meet me in the laundry room. Okay? After Amber and Mick have had their little fight, Amber thinks that this is Mick trying to get attention to Amber since he's been with Mara studying. So she thinks it's Mick. In reality, it's Alfie. I'm gonna go ahead and just finish this whole plot. Anyways, Alfie goes into the laundry room all dressed up as Amber's dressed up, and he realizes that she thinks it's about Mick. So he leaves, basically. And Amber sleeps in the laundry room waiting for Mick, who's never gonna come because Mick never wrote that little letter. The little thing. To meet in the laundry room. Poor Amber, honestly. She's getting fucked over. Mick, ugh. Nina and Fabian go up into the attic with the key. Nina shows Fabian this whole door thing, and they realize that the person that they saw was just a painting, but there's something sus about this painting. Inside the locket, there's this picture of a little girl. There's a painting of the same little girl in the locket. And as they're looking at this painting, they take it off the wall, and there's hieroglyphics on the bottom left corner. They're like, we gotta figure out what these hieroglyphics mean, okay? So that's the big plot. Patricia sneaks into Mr. Sweet's office to find Joy's file and steal it. Mr. Sweet obviously noticed something is awry in his office after Patricia ends up sneaking back out with Joy's file. He tells Victor that they have a problem. Somebody has stolen a file. Who stole that file? Patricia. So Victor does a bag search and confiscates everybody's bag. That's really big T, because the file is in Patricia's bag. Joy's file. Episode 2 ends there. Episode 3, Patricia is very keen on finding Joy. This is like her whole plot. She has no like romance plot. It's her finding out about Joy. Now we're back to the whole romance side plot. Jerome lets slip about the whole laundry room situation, so then Amber's really mad and is waiting for an apology for being stood up by Mick. Everyone gets their bag back at this point. Victor's done doing his little search. The file is gone from Patricia's bag, but Victor doesn't say anything about the file. That is sus. Why wouldn't he say anything about the file? He literally is on everybody's ass 24/7, but when it comes to this file, he says nothing. So Patricia's like, that's weird. Cuts to the scene, literally right after that. Victor burns Joy's file. What the hell is up with Joy? This is really weird. I'm saying this as if I haven't watched this entire season. Patricia asks Trudy about Joy's disappearance and is like, who came and picked up Joy? And she's like, this man. But I've never seen her parents, so I don't really know. Patricia thinks this is suspicious, obviously. I'm so sorry I keep saying suspicious and weird, but it's literally the only words I can think of. Nina and Fabian plan to go talk to Sarah/Emily to get some answers. As Nina and Fabian go to see Sarah, she freaks out about Fabian being in the room because he's seen the locket and he shouldn't see the locket. So it's a huge deal to Sarah, so then nothing really happens while they're visiting Sarah, so they just kind of like leave. Nina and Fabian come up with their theories, okay? They decode the hieroglyphics to be stairs, buried/underneath, and then 8.
Hi, Editing Patty once again. I guess it just like, I don't know if I ever said it or if I ever wrote it down, but Patricia filed a missing persons report for Joy, and that's so important for what I'm going to say next. I don't know if I said it or if it just cut out. I really don't know at this point, but anyways, there's that information.
So the police officer calls Patricia and is like, hey girl, Joy's fine and at home with her parents. So her senses are kind of like calmed down about the whole thing. And then they realize that Jerome is spreading this whole rumor about the Alfie and Mick situation. And then Fabian's like, dude, that's fucked up. And basically blackmails Jerome to telling Mick the truth about the whole situation, or he'll tell Mr. Sweet about his whole homework scheme that we found out in episode 1, where I was like, that's important for later. Fabian's a really good dude, and he's looking out for Amber and Mick, because Mick's his roommate. Mick apologizes to Amber and gives her like this shell, and Amber's like, oh my god, I love it. Whatever, so basically Amber and Mick make up. Patricia gets an email from Joy saying that she's fine, but Patricia's like, this is also really sus because it's a really formal email. Why wouldn't Joy like spice it up a bit? But anyways, Patricia apologized to Nina about being crazy lately with the whole Joy situation. Then the episode ends with Nina and Fabian going to the 8th stair in the house, leading up to like Victor's like little office thing. So they go to the 8th stair and they look underneath and it's like basically loose already. And inside they find a key. And before Victor can catch them, they run off, and Victor trips on the stair that they had just opened and basically sprains his ankle. That's it at the end of episode 3. Catch all that because we're going along smooth sailing at this point. I gotta take a break though. Good lord. There's so much that goes on in every episode. Like, do you see? Episode 4. Fabian and Nina plan to go to the attic since now Victor notices that the attic key is gone. That's a huge, big situation because they need that key to get up into the attic where they're doing their little search. Mara likes Mick. Obviously. Amber overhears this conversation that Mara likes Mick. Oh, good lord. Patricia goes through Nina's stuff. Why, I don't really know. Anyway, she still saw some Nina and reads her diary, and it reads, Patricia is possibly the meanest person I've ever met. And Patricia doesn't like hearing this, even though Mara warned her about the whole situation thing. Amber throws a getting back together party, and Fabian, I just said their ship name because I have F plus N, because I started to abbreviate their names. Fabian and Nina decide this is the perfect time to go up to the attic while everybody's having their little party. Amber confronts Mara about Mara liking Mick. And Amber fucking gets Mara's ass low-key and is like, we're switching rooms. I don't want to room with you anymore. You like my boyfriend. And he gave you the same exact bracelet I had. And you literally told Patricia you liked Mick. She's fucking over it, so she wants to switch rooms and live with Nina. And Patricia's like, kind of sitting off to the side like, ooh, that's big T. So they go up to the attic. Nina finds a box, and the small key opens it. How they found this box out of this entire stuff that's laying in this attic, I don't know. They don't even really show them searching around the room. It's just Nina ends up having this box. The small key unlocks the box, and it opens, and it reveals this cube. This, like, cube puzzle thing. Almost is like a Rubik's Cube, but with, like, Egyptian symbols on it, like hieroglyphics. And with cylinders. Like, these cylinders. And to safely secure everything from Victor going up into the attic and seeing anything at all, she puts it into the secret room that only she can open with her locket. Really smart, honestly. Once they get back down there from the attic, Amber tells Nina that they're going to be roomies now. I love Nina and Amber. Their friendship is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Anyways, during the party, Victor confronts the house about the key and interrogates Alfie. Meanwhile, Nina places the key, and everyone says that they placed the key, and everyone's grounded. So basically, they got each other's back because technically Nina had to steal the key, but it was Patricia, Jerome, and Alfie's whole idea to do the initiation prank thing. So they all basically just get grounded. Get all that? Cool. And now Victor has the attic key back, now that they safely have secured everything into the secret room. Fabian says the hieroglyphics don't exist that are on the cube, and Fabian mentions taking it to his uncle that knows a lot about Egyptian stuff, and they go see the uncle after that conversation. They cut directly to it. The cylinders that were also in the box are phonographic cylinders. They're basically mini cassettes that they used back in the really, really olden days. And shows a pic of what to play on them, and they've seen it before. It's in that attic, what to play these cylinders on. So that's really huge. And the uncle like eyes the cube, but Nina becomes protective of the whole situation. Whatever. At the end of the episode, Patricia overhears the police officer talking to Victor about how Joy is buried. Way to make matters even more complicated. Joy's buried? What do you mean by that? That's the end of episode 4. Episode 5, not that much happens, so I'm going to go ahead and breeze quickly through it. This is like big T for this big side plot with Mara and Mick. Mara's obviously been helping Mick because Mick doesn't do that well in school. So, Mick's obviously having a hard time during this French listening test, and Mara does his test for him. And basically swaps his at the end with hers that she did so he would get an A. And Jerome catches Mara doing this. Patricia tells Mara about the whole convo he heard Victor and the police have. Not Victor. Okay, and then Fabian notices eye shapes that look suspiciously like the locket Nina has in the staircase in the house. And it's like the Eye of Horus, and they connect it to the original owners, the Frobisher Smythes, who lived there and owned the house. Nina and Fabian go to the attic and play the cylinders, and a scream unleashes. Which is a huge deal because everybody can hear the scream that's been unleashed in the attic. So guess who goes to check out what the scream was in the attic? Victor. Victor goes to check it out, so Nina and Fabian quickly go into the room to go hide while Victor investigates. Amber confronts Nina about this whole sneaking out situation and thinks that Fabian and Nina are dating and they're going on secret little dates. Nina's like, don't tell anybody about it, and basically goes along with it so that way she doesn't know that they're sneaking out into the attic to do this whole mystery situation. Amber basically tells Mick, and then Mick jokes with Fabian about having Nina as a girlfriend. Patricia sees a guy lurking in the forest staring at her, and she's like, that's so weird, why is he looking at me? Who's the mystery guy? I don't have him up here because obviously mystery guy's up here. Anyways, so she's freaked out about this whole mystery guy. Nina is in the bathroom with the cube, and Amber wants Nina to tell her everything since obviously she ducks over the stall and is like, what the hell are you doing, Nina? What's with the cube? Start telling me everything. So Nina does exactly that. She tells Amber everything. So since Nina's telling Amber everything, Patricia's telling Mr. Winkler everything. Now Mr. Winkler, I haven't mentioned, he's the drama teacher and he also teaches like history. He's also a teacher. He teaches like 2 classes. Or maybe he does literature. I don't even remember. But basically he's the drama teacher mainly. And so Patricia starts telling Mr. Winkler all of her suspicions. Nina and Fabian sneak out at night. Amber follows them, okay? And they end up getting the phonographic thing working. And there's a little girl speaking on it, and Amber crashes something and helps Nina and Fabian sneak back out. Because Amber gets really scared of the whole situation. The episode ends with Patricia seeing mystery guy in the house of Anubis kind of like standing over her. So she's really freaked out about this, and that's where the episode ends. So basically now Amber knows that Fabian and Nina are sneaking out, and she wants to be on all the details. I get it. I would want to be too. And we're back with episode 6. We're basically halfway through with this first chunk. This one's pretty long. Okay, episode 6 is kind of long, so bear with me. The police guy calls, and the police guy is called about this whole mystery guy standing over Patricia's situation, and everyone in the house basically comforts Patricia, and Trudy doesn't make her go to class. But Victor's like, she should still probably go. But Trudy's like, no bitch, she just had a traumatic experience. She's not going. Amber gives Nina an MP3 player to make the whole listening to these cylinders things easier so they're not constantly going back and forth up into the attic. Because it's really hard because Victor's going to get really suspicious. So she gives Nina the MP3 player to just record everything. Mick received an A on the French test Mara did for him. Mr. Winkler visits Patricia and they talk about the man that she saw. Because they're in cahoots, and he's basically the only teacher that's not in cahoots with Victor, Mr. Sweet, and Mrs. Andrews. And that's not the mystery man. This is huge. So Amber hears that Mick got an A on the test. And Amber's like, that is so suspicious. So she goes and grabs Mara's test and compares Mara's to Mick's. And she's like, you cheated for him, you bitch. And they have a little cat fight. And then the boys pull each girl away, and Amber shows Mick the test, and Mick is pissed because Mara cheated for him, and he didn't know. Which, Mara, low-key fucked up. I know you were helping him, but that's low-key so fucked up. And you made him really feel really bad about himself, even though I don't like Mick. And I'm not really liking Mara right now either, so. Winkler goes to Mrs. Andrews about his worries of Patricia and subtly says that she should be able to call Joy to calm her nerves. Mick goes to Mrs. Andrews and is like, yo, I cheated. Then Mara walks in and is like, actually, no, I cheated for him. He didn't really know. And then Mrs. Andrews is like, yeah, I know. And then Mara's like, are you going to expel me? And Mrs. Andrews is like, no, just don't do it again. And you basically you have detention, whatever. And Mick still isn't very happy with her. Victor is very suspicious of what the mystery man looked like, so he starts asking Patricia all these kinds of questions. She leaves the house and goes into the woods, and mystery man finds her, and then she runs away. Interesting, right? Very interesting. Honestly, I'd be so creeped out if there was this mystery man looming over me in my bed, looking at me in the forest, and now I go out into the woods and he's just kind of lurking there. Amber finds a secret message behind their wallpaper in their room from Sarah Frobisher Smythe. Who do we know that's named Sarah? Old lady Sarah, who's also named Emily. And I don't even remember, I didn't write it down why Amber had like peeled the wallpaper, but I think she was just like looking around. Anyways. And they connect Sarah to the old lady. Maybe. They think she's Sarah, little girl Sarah. Because obviously she's older, and she said that she lived in the house. And she knew Victor. So Amber, Fabian, and Nina go up into the attic to record the cylinders. In the cylinder, Sarah says, he did it, he murdered them. Talking about her parents. So now they're all really creeped out by it and the whole murder thing and with her parents. Patricia tells Mr. Winkler that she's seen the man again and whatever. Then Mr. Winkler finds Joy's phone by the trash and puts it in his pocket. So obviously Mr. Winkler now knows that something's up. Also, Winkler. That is such an interesting name. I'm not gonna lie. That's such a weird name. I would not want to be called Mr. Winkler. So the whole trio decides to go see Sarah again. But since Sarah was freaked out with Fabian last time, Nina thinks it's better if Amber goes along with her, and Amber wants to go. So they go and see Sarah. Sarah says, quote, "The man who kills, he wants to stay forever. He wants to tip the scales of life." End quote. And she says something from the recordings to confirm that she's Sarah Frobisher Smythe, the little girl from the recordings. That's big T. So now we know that her name actually isn't Emily. It's actually really Sarah, and she was telling the truth. She's just a little crazy and a little old and can't really remember anything and can't really say everything coherently. Mr. Winkler shows Patricia Joy's phone that he found, and she shows him the photo that Joy is missing from, and they see that there's a hand on a shoulder, so they obviously know that Joy has definitely been removed from the photo. Since there's like a whole trio between Nina, Fabian, and Amber, Amber coins their little trio called Sabuna, Anubis backward. As Jerome and Alfie go play a prank on Amber, they find the recordings and Alfie tampers with it. Of fucking course. So the recordings that they had recorded on the cylinders are now tampered with Alfie going over them. Mr. Winkler contacts the photography place and is like, yo, can I have the OG picture before you tampered with it? Whatever. Then Nina, Fabian, and Amber go out into the woods and they have a little initiation where they drop something that was valuable to them to pledge to never tell the secret of the whole treasure, Sarah, locket, house searching situation. And they start doing the whole Sabuna. They put their Sabuna. I want to be part of Sabuna so bad. Anyways, they do this and say Sabuna when there's like ever like a secret revealed, and they keep the secret. And basically it's this like little secret group. So now I'm going to add stars of who is part of Sabuna. So at this point we have Nina, then we have Fabian, and now we have Amber. So they're part of Sabuna at this point. Amber created Sabuna, but Nina's basically like the leader since she has the locket. As they are leaving the whole forest thing after having their little initiation and definitely forming the group of Sabuna, Nina drops the cube and it kind of like rattles onto the ground and like it shifts, and obviously Fabian tried like twisting it like a Rubik's Cube, and so Nina's like, well, let's just like pull it apart. So they pull it apart, and on the inside of each disc there's a clue. There's writing. When daytime ends at midday, through tears of glass the eye shall see. If I was them, I would never solve these clues. I would be flabbergasted. I wouldn't be able to solve anything, but I don't want to go on the journey that they are. The episode ends there. Episode 7, Creepy man confronts Patricia and says he knows Joy is missing and that he's a private investigator and that he can help her. He says his name is Renee. Mystery guy now has a name. His name is Renee. He's right here. So he says that he can help Patricia find Joy. And he's a private investigator. How slay that he just mysteriously was stalking Patricia. Mick walks in as they're talking about the clue and wants to eat lunch with Amber. But Sabuna has lunch plans and Amber's like, yeah, I can do that for you, boo. But they need to start figuring out this new clue that they got from this little cube thing. Mr. Winkler shows Patricia the real photo and says he has an appointment with Mr. Sweet to confront him and show them all their evidence. But he says that Patricia shouldn't and it should just be him. Since he's an adult and he's a teacher. And she's just a kid. Mr. Winkler has the appointment with Mr. Sweet, and he tells him it's better if you don't know, and that he should talk to Victor. So obviously we have Victor, Mr. Sweet, Mrs. Anders in on it, and now Mr. Winkler's getting suspicious, and now Mr. Sweet's like, you should go talk to Victor. You should go see what's up with that, and you should go talk to him, otherwise you shouldn't know, and you don't want to know. What is up with Joy? We don't know, but there's like this whole scheme. Okay. Sabuna thinks it's like a type of eclipse with the whole when daytime ends at midday through tears of glass the eye shall see. So they're thinking it's like this type of like midday eclipse because those are like a thing apparently. And they decide to listen to Little Sarah on the recordings, but they hear how Alfie messed with it. And they think that he might have heard something that they didn't. Mick breaks up with Amber. Oh, how I saw that coming. Mick and Amber are done. They're done. Thank fuck. Now Amber can be fully devoted to Sabuna. And he breaks up with her over missing the picnic and the lunch that Amber said that she was going to go to, but didn't end up doing that because she was with Sabuna. As Sabuna's up in the attic listening to these cylinders again because Alfie messed with it, Amber points out the sunset stained glass and Fabian figures out it's a sunset at midday. I could have guessed that, totally, Fabian. Mr. Winkler talks to Victor and leaves without saying anything to Patricia. So Victor definitely got to Mr. Winkler. So now Patricia's really all alone and she's definitely gonna have to rely on Renee. As the plot thickens, Trudy shows Fabian and Nina these photos of the original house as they're asking Trudy about the original house, and Trudy also mentions this weird little hatch thing in the bottom of the kitchen, and we'll get there later, but I should mention it now. But then she's like, I can show you all these old photos of the house, and there was a chandelier made of tears of glass. They look like tears. And then Nina's like, oh my god, we need to find that chandelier. So that's what they do. They put up the original chandelier. Anyways, Mara helps Mick with the history table, even though Mick's like, I'm still really mad at you. But Amber was going to help Mick, but then Amber was like, I just broke up with him. So no. Good for Amber. She's fucking slaying. Honestly, I would hate him too, and I would not want to work with him. Patricia tells Renee about Mr. Winkler and how Victor basically got to him, and he shares these photos, and he says that his real name is Rufus. He was lying about his real name. That's really suspicious. You're supposed to be honest with Patricia, but you lie about your name? He's sus. He's sus to me. Anyways, and Patricia's like, we need to have trust, so that's why basically he tells her his real name. And anyways, on these photos, they have a symbol, the Eye of Horus, and Patricia's like, I've seen that before, Nina's locket. That's huge, okay? So Nina and Fabian now put up the original chandelier. I just said F because I have F written down. Fabian goes up into the sunset stained glass to see if he can find anything while Nina is going to watch the chandelier. The chandelier glows like this weird green color and then cascades a light onto this like part of the wall. And Nina takes her locket up to this little part in the wall, and it opens up a little like door hatch thing, and revealing like a candlestick type object. So obviously Nina and the whole chandelier thing worked out, and Fabienne's like sunset stained glass thing, nothing came up with that. So as they're listening to the cylinders, Sarah mentions a man in the cellar with dead animals and his raven, Corbière. And that man killed her parents. Victor's a murderer. Victor is a murderer at this point. And they are fucking freaking out. And they also know that Victor is the one with the raven Corbière, because he can hear on the cylinder Victor's iconic line, "It is 10 p.m. and I want to hear a pin drop." Because that's how you know that it's curfew and that everybody should be silent and going to bed when he hears a pin drop.
It's 10 o'clock. You have 5 minutes precisely, and then I want to hear a pin drop.
Nina and Fabienne are freaking out about this whole situation. That's the end of episode 7. On to episode 8. Patricia picks up Nina's locket off the bathroom floor and calls Rufus, saying she found the Eye of Horus. Patricia goes to steal it, and Amber finds her with it. That's pretty sus, Patricia. You're really ballsy for that one, and now Amber knows. Mrs. Andrew confiscates the MP3 player recording since Fabienne was listening to them during class when he shouldn't have been. So that causes a whole new problem, that they need the recordings, because they don't want to keep going back up to the attic and get the risk of getting caught. So as they go to open up the candlestick, they manage to open it off like the top, and they find a new clue hidden inside. The new clue reads, "Ket is the place to find, and there in the flames you must look behind." Cool. I don't even know what they're talking about. Fabina catches Mrs. Andrews almost listening to the recordings, and she gives it back to him before she can even listen to it, which is really good, because if Mrs. Andrews heard what was on those recordings, she would tell Victor, and then Victor would know that they are in on it and that something's up. Nina and Amber think of the fireplace as the next clue, but Victor catches them snooping, and Nina's like, "We were just getting soot for an art project." Okay, girl. Nice lie. Honestly, I'll give you that one. And Victor's like suspicious of them. Victor's little squad of teachers have an initiation for the new member, Mr. Winkler. It's like the secret society thing that they have going on, so they initiate Mr. Winkler into it, since basically he really found out about Joy and they're keeping it hush-hush by inviting him into their little secret club. Nina confronts Patricia about almost stealing the locket, and Amber gets water dumped on her by Patricia, because Patricia before was like, "Amber, don't tell Nina, we've been friends forever." But Amber still tells Nina because they're besties and they room together. So Patricia dumps water on Amber, and everybody's like, "What the fuck, Patricia? That's so mean." Honestly, it is really mean. Patricia, girl, what is going on? I know you're better than this. Don't do Amber like that. She was just helping out her bestie Nina. Part of Sabuna? Yeah. Rufus wants the locket, and he tells Patricia that he needs to steal it, or at least somehow let him see it. Rufus is very adamant about the locket. Mrs. Andrews confiscates Patricia's phone and sees her text to Rufus, and Mrs. Andrew, low-key, you can see it. She has a little freak out moment. And she's like, "Oh shit." There wasn't anything in the main fireplace as they checked, and so it might be that sealed up thing that Trudy was talking about, because Nina's like, that could have been a fireplace. And they're like, "Oh shit, you're so right, Nina." Mrs. Andrews shows Victor Patricia's phones, and it's now confirmed that Rufus is back. And Victor's like kind of freaking out about it, that Rufus is back, so obviously we know that Victor and Rufus low-key have tea together. They have beef. As Sabuna goes to see Sarah, she already has a visitor. Guess who that visitor is? Do you want to take a guess on the wild guess of the array we have here? Rufus. It's Rufus visiting Sarah. And they're like chatting, like old friends. Back at House of Anubis, everyone is giving Patricia the silent treatment for when she dumped water on Amber, because they know that's not cool. They know that's fucked up. And Patricia apologizes to Nina and Amber, and Nina and Patricia decide to talk later about the whole almost locket stealing situation, okay? The door that Trudy had mentioned, that was like a secret little hatch that has never been opened, and they think it's a fireplace, so they definitely go to inspect, and Nina unlocks it with her locket, because obviously there's a little spot for that locket to fit into. So it is now confirmed that that fireplace was a fireplace. So they go through this like little shaft of this fireplace, and down where they go there, it looks like there's being experiments held, and then they go and walk to the very back of the wall, and there's flames on the wall, and there's like this tethering ring that used to hold like animals and stuff. So Fabian gets the tethering ring off, and inside the ring, like on the inside, there are numbers. And then they hear Victor going down the stairs, like going down into where they are, and they hide. And they see Victor drink out of this weird vial as he cheers to life. What the hell is he doing in that cellar, guys? What the hell is he doing? Okay, that's it of episode 8. It was a really short one, not that much happened, but we know something's wrong with Rufus. We know that they have beef. Victor's cheering to life over this weird vial looking thing. On to episode 9. Victor leaves the cellar and Sabuna leaves as they hear a scream. They're spooked. The scream was kind of stupid for them to leave, but whatever. In the morning, they find a cat. Nina and Amber do, and Amber falls in love with this cat, and they keep it safe because they think it's a cat that Victor had in the cellar, and that's where they heard the scream from. I don't think a cat could have made that screaming noise, but that is up for debate that I just won't get into, because it's like one of those plot holes that doesn't really make sense, but it's a thing. So apparently this cat made this noise, and Amber decides to take care of it. Patricia tells Nina about the locket and Rufus, and Patricia's like, will you at least think about meeting up with him? And Nina's like, yeah, no, I'll definitely think about it. Fabian thinks it's a bad idea that Nina's gonna go see this guy, but she says that she'll just leave the locket with Fabian, and then Fabian's like, oh my god, you trust me that much? And Nina's like, yeah, I do, and they have this little cute moment. Fabina. We love Fabina. Mara's going to start helping Mick again with this whole scholarship thing he's gonna be getting into. Amber decides to stay home with the cat and play sick so she can keep an eye on it. Then, as Amber is asleep taking a nap, the cat goes through the crack of the door and escapes Amber and Nina's room. As Patricia and Nina go to meet up with Rufus, they see Victor carrying an unconscious Rufus into this back of this vehicle. And they're like, holy shit, we just watched this kidnapping. What the hell is Victor doing with Rufus? And Patricia's freaking out because Rufus was helping her find Joy. And obviously when Nina sees Victor carrying Rufus away, she connects him to being the guy that was seeing Sarah that one time. That's big T. That means Rufus knows Sarah. There's extra stuff going on. Sabuna makes a theory about Victor having an elixir for not aging, because they heard him in the recordings not too long ago, and they're like, he'd be really old. Amber asks Mr. Sweet about experimenting on animals, and as she's asking about that, he mentions that they used to, in Egyptian times, experiment with animals to find an elixir of life. And then as Fabian is trying to figure out the numbers, Jerome steals it from Fabian's hands and is like, let me take a look at this. What do you have going on here, Fabian? And then he's like, boy, the numbers that are repeating in this pattern that was inside this ring is 1, 2, and 9. So Jerome's onto something there. They have to pick a story for the play that Mr. Winkler is hosting, and Amber says the plot of Sarah's life and everything that's going on. And then Nina gets roped into writing the play. After the whole number situation, Amber and Patricia go down to the cellar and try to find the cat, but then they see it stuffed and dead, and Amber tells Trudy all of this crying, like Victor killed this cat, blah blah blah, it's this whole thing. Sabuna confronts Victor and they have Trudy help them, And they talk about the cat, and he avoids the truth, being like, bitch, what cat? And there's a cat roaming around in the cellar that's alive, and this mystery stuffed cat that Amber and Patricia had seen is gone, and the cellar is cleaned out. All the experiment bottles, everything is gone. He cleared it all out. And Victor's fucking fuming, and he gets mad at them. And in this rage, he fires Trudy. He fires our queen. On my hit list right there, guys. Okay? Episode 9 over. That's where it ends. Victor fires Trudy. Episode 10 has a lot. No, it doesn't. I lied. Episode 10's not that much, so I'm going to breeze through it really quick. Trudy says goodbye to everybody and leaves, and Victor is in charge of making the food and cleaning the house now that Trudy is gone, and he makes this weird looking slop. If I had to live with Victor cooking, I think I'd die. I think I'd actually starve. In this whole situation with, you know, Sabuna and stuff, he adds security cameras around House of Anubis, which the kids hate. Mick tells Mara about a 4-week summer scholarship in California, and Mara offers to help him. And Mara and Mick have a game against each other about sport trivia, and Mara ends up winning, and he runs away thinking Mara cheated with the whole thing. Mara and Mick are low-key just like side plots. They're just the side plot, and Mick is so annoying. The way that he was like, yeah, me and Mara can go against each other and see who knows the most about sports, and Mara ends up winning, and then Mick is so fucking mad about it because he thought that he would know more than Mara about the whole thing, but he doesn't, and then he got mad and stormed off like a little bitch. I hate Mick. I think I hate him as much as I don't really like Victor, and that's saying a lot. Patricia basically tells Mick that the reason why Mara knew so much is that Mara's parents are like professional athletes. So of course she would know everything. And so he apologizes. Like we care. Now we're getting to the fun stuff. Sabuna is worried about the cameras and how they're going to be able to sneak around places. So they add Patricia to Sabuna. Patricia is now an official member of Sabuna. Anyways, so they add Patricia to Sabuna, and then they enlist Alfie and Jerome's help in fucking with Victor to try and get him to stop with the security cameras, because how can they do their job running around this house with these security cameras up? So they enlist their help. And they skew the cameras in a protest. The Frobisher Smythes, this is what Nina figures out. The Frobisher Smythes worked on finding Tutankhamun's tomb and supposedly had taken items from it. And they had like this whole scandal with the Frobisher Smythes and how they like, I guess, took stuff. And which means that the treasure that they're looking for probably came from his tomb. So that's the treasure that they're looking for. Mick's dad visits and he doesn't, and Mick is like, I don't want to be a doctor, Dad. Like, that's just not what I want. And then Mara walks in and is like, yeah, that's not what he wants. And it's like this whole thing. Anyways, and then Nina, Fabian, and Patricia are still in protest. They had this whole like dinner thing where they just like decided to stay in protest of the cameras. Fabian finds out that the numbers that were repeating that Jerome had figured out, then 1, 9, and 2, are 1922, the year that Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered. That's crazy. We have figured out the clue. Fabian covers the camera while Nina gets a look at something underneath like this tomb thing that's in like the hallway place that has 1922 on it, and she like pushes it in and it slides out, and she grabs a piece of paper which has the next clue. Suddenly we then cut to Mick and his whole ordeal, and Mick's dad tells Mr. Sweet that he'll remove Mick from school if the cameras don't get removed and Trudy reinstated, thanks to Amber, who talked to Mick's dad about the whole situation. So Amber was scheming with Mick's dad because obviously Amber dated Mick, so she knew Mick's dad. So they were talking, but Mara overheard Amber and Mick's dad being like, yeah, you should remove him from school. And Mara was getting ready to tell Mick all this, but Amber was actually just trying to get the cameras and Trudy reinstated. So she's the queen. She just likes to get in everybody's business. Maybe that was too mean. I just don't really like Mara. But anyways, we stand Amber for getting Trudy reinstated. New clue that they had found out, so we jump back to them, and it says, be leathered and clasped, here is the only place where yesterday always follows tomorrow. Whatever that means. They think it's books underneath the stairs, and the cameras are ended up being taken away. So they think this whole clue thing are books underneath the stairs, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, while looking for the books, Nina finds a picture from 1925 where Victor looks the same way he is now. Bitch, that's like 100 years ago, like 90 years ago, and he looks the same as he did in that photo. That's weird. So that means that there is probably an elixir of life somewhere. And that's where the episode ends. Yeah. So now we know that there's definitely an elixir of life, and that the treasure that they're looking for is from Tutankhamun's tomb. On to episode 11. We're going to go through with this one pretty quickly because there's not that much that happens. Fabian went back down under the stairs during the morning and found a book, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, and it's be-leathered like the clue, and it's about time travel, so it kind of fits the clue that they're thinking of, and Fabian's going to look through it. Fabian also found a ton more photos of Victor throughout the years where he looks the exact same, meaning the elixir is definitely real, and they need to grab it that they saw him drinking from when he cheered to life a few episodes ago. Nina's been writing the school's play script, and auditions start soon, and she's going with the whole Sarah theme, and she's hoping that's not too on the nose, blah, 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 blah. With Trudy back, Victor says not to listen to Sabuna's little theories anymore. Mick and Mara kiss, and P tells Patricia, I start labeling her P, and Patricia tells Mara that they have nothing in common. That's what she tells Mara. You're like, boy, you're the brains, he's kind of stupid. And that's like it. Anyways, but Mara's really happy that she got to kiss Mick while they were training together. As Sabuna goes down to the cellar, there's Alfie and Jerome decide to play another prank on them, and they dress up as zombies. And as Jerome and Alfie scare Sabuna, they end up running away, but they manage to grab the elixir, and Patricia puts it into an old juice bottle as a cover-up. Jerome and Alfie host a talent show in the meantime to get cash, but Mr. Winkler catches them and makes them do the play automatically without auditions, and yeah, because they tricked 7th and 8th graders into doing a talent show so they could earn cash. I get Jerome's hustle. I honestly do. I really do. I get what he does, but I don't like his other actions. Mick is having boy talk with Jerome and Alfie and is basically like, Mara's so boring, blah, 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 blah. Mara overhears this boy talk and is obviously upset by Mick's words. Anyways, and Mick tells Jerome and Alfie that basically Mara and him will never happen. And that hurts Mara's feelings. So honestly, I'm sympathizing with Mara. Fuck Mick. Can we cancel Mick? He's causing so many problems for no reason. Nina goes to see Sarah to ask about the elixir, and Nina asks where she knows Rufus from, and she says that they used to play together as kids. But Sarah's old, and Rufus is really young, so like what's going on there? Sarah also confirms Victor is the one who wants to tip the scales of life and that he killed them, meaning her parents. So he's the killer, I guess. And Sarah basically confirmed all this or whatever. That's the end of episode 11. Not that much happened. I hope I can get through episode 12 before my camera dies again. Nina tells Sabuna about what Sarah said about Victor, okay? Mara is wallowing in self-pity about Mick, and meanwhile Jerome and Alfie are also wallowing about the pranks and how they're being punished. I almost said Fabina again. Fabian and Nina are talking about the clue, and there isn't anything he can find in the H.G. Wells time travel book. And while he's saying that, an emo Mara walks in with like eyeliner, her hair's all done, she's like wearing black tights. She doesn't look like normal Mara, okay? And she walks into class and tells Mrs. Andrews that she didn't do the assignment, which is not like Mara, because she's smart, okay? She always does her assignments. She always gets A's. So this is weird that she didn't do the assignment. So now she's like bending to the will that she's not boring. Like Mick said she was, basically. Sabuna has zero answers about anything that's going on, which is worrisome for them, and how they're not figuring out this next clue as fast, and the whole Rufus being gone situation and Victor kidnapping him, whatever. Mara confronts Mick about his conversation, and that's literally about it for them. And she's like, you're fucking rude and I don't really like you, but we kiss, so like what's the deal with that? As Jerome and Alfie go try to be zombies again, Alfie realizes that he left his mask in the cellar, so Jerome and Alfie gotta go retrieve it. While Alfie goes into the cellar, Jerome is on lookout, and Victor comes up and is like, Jerome, what the hell are you doing? Step away from the cellar, you know that's off limits. So Jerome has to like run away, and Alfie is left in the cellar all day. All day Alfie's left in the cellar, and Jerome enlists Fabian's help to go get him back, and Nina ends up going down there too, since he's been stuck down there all night. And as they get him, he's literally petrified. He's sweating as he's literally been hiding downstairs all day. While he was downstairs all day, he heard Victor's little club doing chants, so he's scarred and has trauma now. As Mara's in the laundry room, she sees this note from Mick telling Trudy to wash his clothes, and they're whites. And Mara put something red in with all of his whites. They're his training gear. Okay, this is huge. His training gear, guys. Mara fucks with it and turns the temperature all the way up. So
It's Editing Patty once again. I have to fill you in on what has happened because my SD card got full and I didn't realize it, and I didn't check to see where it ended off. So I have some things to talk about. Okay, the whole Mara and Mick thing. Mara threw something pink in there and turned the dial up to 90, which means his training clothes shrunk and turned pink. We have successfully fucked over Mick. We love this. Not really important to the plot, but anyways. Jerome is worried about Alfie because he's catatonic ever since they brought him back up from the cellar, since he obviously had trauma and is not doing well. So Jerome grabs Fabian and Nina and the whole Sabuna crew, and they go up there, and they're trying to talk to Alfie, who's catatonic, and once they start trying to talk to him and tell them what he saw down there, he starts having a panic attack. So Nina grabs for Patricia's bag and grabs the juice bottle that has the elixir in it. Okay? That's where we're at. I will let Past Me take it over now.
Oh, and then as he takes the elixir that's in the bottle, he like basically passes out and like goes unresponsive. So then Alfie's taken to the hospital. Jerome corners Patricia and starts asking questions and starts to blackmail Patricia, kinda, sorta, and Patricia's like, I'm not fucking telling you anything. Because now, obviously, we have 4 members of Sabuna, so they're keeping it hush-hush. All the pressures and everything with the play and not figuring out the clues and Alfie out in the hospital, Nina drops out of Sabuna. She drops out with all the pressure. I don't blame her, honestly. She's scared, and now Alfie's hurt. And it's all getting too much. And that's the end of episode 12. We're on to episode 13. The hospital says Alfie drank cleaning fluid. And Jerome and Patricia go to see him. Nina thinks of a dictionary for the next clue. Meanwhile, she's not a part of Sabuna, but ends up thinking of a dictionary because they're talking, blah, blah, blah. But Fabian's like, bro, we can't do this without you. Like, you have the locket. Sarah gave you the locket. Obviously, you're important. We can't do this without you. So Nina rejoined Sabuna. Thank God. That's also why I didn't remove her star, because directly after that, she joined Sabuna again. Mick asked Mrs. Robinson for help for his scholarship since Mara is no longer helping him. So I also don't have Miss Robinson up here because she's not that important. Anyways, she's just another teacher who's helping Mick. Sabuna finds the dictionary with the clasp, but the clasp is intense and they can't open it. So they have the bright idea to have the locket be shown up to it. But Fabian has one of them that's not Nina. So I don't remember. I didn't write it down. Sorry, guys. Fabian, Amber, or Patricia have the locket. They shine it up to the clasp. It doesn't open. But then they hand it to Nina and it magically opens for Nina. Because so they are thinking the locket only works for Nina. While Mick and Mrs. Robinson are training, Mara spies on them and takes picture of them because like they were doing like this whole like balancing thing, and Mick fell and then he got Mrs. Robinson to fall, and it looked like that they were flirting, and Mara sees this and takes pictures of them. While Patricia's at the hospital, she spots Rufus there in a wheelchair, and he's kind of like unresponsive and clearly drugged. So somebody at the hospital, they did something. They did something to Rufus. So obviously something is up, and Patricia wheels him away, thankfully. Mara has an email draft to Mr. Sweet of the pictures to be sent, but she doesn't send it yet. Sabuna goes to talk to Rufus, and Nina shows Rufus the locket, and Rufus says that the locket is cursed, and he says to give it back to Sarah. And Nina and Fabian are like, fuck no, we're not giving it back to Sarah. Sarah obviously wanted Nina to have it. What do you mean by that, boy? And he wants the locket, and he should give it back to her because it's cursed or something. Alfie is welcome back home, and Patricia grabs food for Rufus where he's hiding out. Now there's drama between Mara and Patricia as I'm getting ready to say this. Mara asks Patricia if she would want to walk with her to class, but she says she can't right now, not yet. And Mara makes the comment how she's always hanging out with the new gang, Sabuna. So that's the whole thing. And then Patricia goes to drop off the food, but Rufus is missing. He's gone from their little hideout where they were keeping him safe. Amber tries to hypnotize Alfie to like get him to talk about what he saw down in the cellar. But he ends up scaring Amber, but she slams him against the locker, like playing with him, like, oh my god, you scared me. Alfie hits his head, and he gets flashes of what happened in the cellar and like what he heard. And he says he saw a scary face. Inside the dictionary that they were like looking at is invisible ink shown when Fabian shines like a little flashlight on it. So it appears by like the heat or something. And it says, under the eyes of Horus, a globe and hollow lie, 2 right for eternity, but just 1 left to die. Nina thinks of the panel in the attic that's hollow with an eye of Horus there, but it's not the only one with an eye of Horus. Fabian says it's eyes, not eye, not a singular one, plural. And do you remember way back when Fabian was like, yo, there's eyes of Horus on the staircase? Boy, that's what he's thinking of in the hallway. And on the hallway there's like these like globes, spheres things, and there's 2 of them. So Nina's like, which one is it? And they find one that's hollow, obviously, and they turn 2 right, because obviously in the clue it said 2 right for eternity and 1 left to die. So they turn it 2 right and 1 left, and it reveals a strange shaped like object. It looks like a little like disc thing, but Victor catches them on the staircase and confiscates the item from Nina and Fabian, and he obviously recognizes it, and Nina sees him recognize it. So obviously Victor now knows that they're searching for the items, these items that they've been collecting, like the disc, the candlestick, and now this little disc thing. So that's the end of episode 13.
Okay, so that's where I'm actually going to end the video off. I did not realize that I ended up filming over an hour long worth of footage. I did not realize that. So I'm going to make the next part be the last 14 episodes of season 1. I really didn't realize that, and I don't want to make this a like 2.5 hour long video. I would just rather split it up into 2 parts, because I also think I ended off on episode 13 in a really good spot with Victor realizing that they're searching for these items, and Victor obviously recognizes the item, and with Rufus being like missing in action now again, even though they saved him from the hospital. Yeah, so a lot has happened, but the next time you see me, I will be doing the last 14 episodes, and it'll be part 2 of season 1. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and maybe you're reliving your childhood vicariously through me and listening to my recap. And if you do want to watch season 1, it is on Netflix, or you can watch it on Paramount Plus, because Paramount Plus has all 3 seasons. So just leaving that out there for you if you want to go watch it now yourself. Yeah, okay, bye.